Welcome to Canada's podcast, the number one podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. So Nathen, welcome to Canada's podcast. We talked a little bit before, and it's great to see you, great to meet you. First off, let's get right into it. Tell us, a little bit about yourself, what you're doing. I know I'm going to tell everyone he's really in the licensing business, and we haven't. I don't think I've interviewed anyone from that side, and I'm very interested in what you're up to. I mean, I'm from the media business, so it's not that I don't know about it. But anyway, I won't spoil it for you. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you're doing, how you got there, that kind of stuff.
Well, Jim Davis always said, I'm an anomaly. And so, I've worked with Jim Davis and I'm a licensee of Jim Davis.
Right.
His company is called Pause Inc. He's the creator of Garfield. And so yes, indeed, I am in the licensing industry. I'm also in the food industry, food and beverage industry and restaurant business. Not so much now because of COVID, but yes, my name is Nathen Mazri, and I've started at 27 years old. I've licensed the cartoon Garfield. He's a pop icon cat, a sarcastic, hungry cat, mischievous since 1978. And I had this brilliant idea because I came from a family of Canadian franchises. My father owned Mr. Sub, Jugo Juice, and Van Hoot Cafe. So he worked with MTY Group for a while, and I've learned the restaurant business, or the brick and mortar and the franchise business, from the ground up. And I knew I wanted to deviate and do something alone and more disruptive. As a millennial, we use apps. So I had this great idea of doing Garfield, a Garfield restaurant called GarfieldEATS. I mean, there's taco for Taco Bell, burgers for McDonald's or Burger King, pizza for Pizza Hut, but there's no drive-through or lasagna, or no one has tapped that lasagna category. And so Garfield is the perfect relevant brand to tie it up with this food category. And I did GarfieldEATS, but I wanted people to also have fun with Garfield. So I wanted to create an intergaging experience, an entertaining and engaging experience on an app where people or consumers of all ages can play the Garfield game on the restaurant app. So it's not a boring McDonald's app where you go, you order and you check out. You actually download it. You can play the Garfield games where he throws food at you. You gotta cut them into parts, and you win paws. And with your paws, you can unlock coupons, and you can get free pizzas or 50% off or tons of offers. And so it's really engaging in that way. It increases user retention and user acquisition, and it helped us a lot with the whole gamification. Globe and Mail said that the whole gamification idea that we've created for GarfieldEATS can really become revolutionary to the fast food industry and the restaurant business, with a sluggish growth of 1% a year. And so I really thought I was onto something. And then Garfield was acquired in September of 2019. Garfield was acquired by Nickelodeon, by Viacom CBS. And so when you acquire a cartoon, a trademark, an intellectual property of such caliber, global caliber, you are taking the 400 licensees with it. So we were in the gray area. What on earth is going to happen to us? Our contracts? Are they going to honor them? Are we going to continue? What about all the brick and mortars that we've created and their recipe and all the costs associated with it? And, because the thing is about licensors, they have the upper hand, and there's always some tricky clauses in those licensing agreements. And so we were scared. I was scared to death. But they kept us on. We got a congratulation email from Viacom, and they said, you're going to be working with us personally, no agent, no intermediary. And we thought, okay, wow, that's amazing. They want us. They want to know more about us. They want us to grow. And so that's the licensor relationship, that I very much learned.
To sort of you came obviously from an entrepreneurial family, but it sounds like you were pretty all set. You could have stayed in that family business. Why did you decide to step outside of it, become an entrepreneur? Take your own risks, all of that kind of thing that goes alongside of it. What made you do that? I mean, most people would have said, "Okay, family business, this is cool. I'm here." Okay, why step outside?
Well, here's what I always say. My grandfather always told me, he looked into my eyes and he always said, you've got fire in your eyes. And I knew that. I've always known that I'm going and branch out and and build my own destiny. But the thing is, here's what the burning desire was. The burning desire came from me trying to live a life that is away from mediocrity. I came from Montreal, Laval, in Quebec, and for us, we have
a Quebec team, by the way. So I didn't know whether to throw you back to Laval so you could speak to Sylvia.
I'm quite international, but we lived a very mediocre life. We were middle class, maybe low class too, and it was a very humble life. I saw how my father built his own blockbuster video rental store in downtown Montreal and how he hustled. I mean, for those who call it entrepreneurship, I mean, shame on you. It should be called hustlership. Because sometimes you live on a $20 bill in your account. That's all you got under your name. But you know what? I got that thick skin to live on the $20 and still put a smile on my face and have a big, huge, gigantic vision. It's not dead yet. And you know what? There's one thing that helped me, and I have to be honest about it. Mm-hmm. I did not come from a $1 billion family. I'm not the son of Donald Trump. But my father, he gave me the luxury of time. So he gave me the time to innovate and fail, re-innovate and fail. And in case I failed, I did have a gigantic house to go to back in Dubai. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I had a comfort zone if I was on the red line. Mm-hmm. And so that allowed me to innovate. And I really sometimes ask and wonder to myself, I ask myself and wonder, will governments ever help and provide the basic necessities for the young men and the future generation of tomorrow, like the Gen Z? Just give them their basic necessities to allow them to think and innovate, because they might really well be the next people behind the next Uber disruptive idea or Airbnb. I've always wanted to create a community solution to a whole community problem. And I hate thinking local. I like thinking global. And I've always been that way. And my father kept saying, keep your feet on the ground, son. I said, no. I got wings that you don't even see. I need to fly. And so him and I were very different on that level. But it's the burning desire. It's the passion, persistence, perseverance.
So you're still working in fast food, which is obviously COVID. I mean, COVID for fast food, arguably COVID's been a great thing, in the sense that people, if they want to have food, they don't want to go out, so order in. So what's that? I mean, you're on the ground. What's that done for the
here's everyone asks, even a lot of media, they ask me, how can David's Tea has closed 200 shops. Pizza Hut has filed for Chapter 2000. You've got brick and mortars who are a mom and papa shop for 25 years. They're closing down. Garfield Eats goes ahead and battles COVID, and I thank the government, the federal government as well, for their support, such as wage subsidies and others, and they really came in fast. But what helped with Garfield is that because he's a pop icon, merchandise helped us, the cross-selling with food. So if you sell a pizza for $13.99, then you're selling a t-shirt for $29.99, then that helped us a lot. And we do shipping for merchandise. We don't do shipping for food, obviously. You'd have to be 5 kilometers or 8 kilometers, maybe close to the brick and mortar store. So the geographical distribution for food, picking up food or delivering food, even on Uber, they restrict you to a certain radius. But merchandise, we ship with our partner UPS. We ship around, and that helped us a lot battle COVID. Those who wanted to taste our food but can't because they're, I don't know, Niagara Falls, but they do buy our merch. So merch helped the restaurant business, and there's no one would buy. No one like us, like a Garfield Eats, would attract consumers towards merch like McDonald's can or Burger King can, because Garfield, again, it's an entertainment brand. But I can tell you, our lasagnas are delicious. It's 5 layers and with ricotta cheese. So for us, what happened is because we wanted to focus on e-commerce, so we went ahead and started our frozen lasagnas. So we can start shipping them with ice packs. Mm-hmm. So people can start, tasting them and enjoying the world's first Garfield Eats lasagna. And so we're really much into e-commerce, and we have our website up. But brick and mortar, COVID has not been nice to brick and mortars, and landlords have been even greedier. It's optional. It's actually optional for landlords to opt into the governmental programs. Many don't want to, just because it makes them look bad. I don't know. They're stubborn like that. And so that has not helped brick and mortars. Now everyone's suing everyone, tenants and landlords. And I think we're going through a shift. We're going through a transitional period. We are grieving, but we must go through this transition from information era to an interconnected era, an interconnected society, a tech society, where you see everyone going bankrupt, but Amazon is hiring 100,000 more people, and they're also hiring, and they're also employing 200,000 robots. So it's really not replacing human capital, but we're seeing a transition, and that's what Garfield Eats is all beautiful and nice. But that's what also during the lockdown has allowed me to brainstorm and perhaps save other licensees through our tech company that's launching soon called Egeez.
Obviously, we're talking about COVID challenge, which is probably the biggest challenge that most of us have faced. I mean, and I've done quite a few recessions, but this has been a little different one. I think, like many people, since we seem to be.
You've seen it all, Philip.
We've seen a lot, yeah, but this was a different one. But I think we're coming out the other side, so that's good. But when faced with those challenges, I have a process that I've developed, and I'm always interested to know what other people's. Is there a process, when you kind of hit a wall? Is there a process that you have, Nathen, or that you've learned from your mentors? We all have mentors around us. That works, that helps you kind of get around the wall, get over the wall, whatever, that kind of thing.
I don't want to sell you a motivational book, because I've read many of those books, and it's different when you read, and it's different when you're living the experience, and now you need the tools. The book won't give you that precise tool to overcome this challenge that you're going through. Most of it has to do with investors' relations, finance. It all comes down to money. The thing is, you either ride the wave and continue the brand presence, even if you're not even breaking even, but you have to continue, and sometimes they say, oh, it takes 3 years for a restaurant to break even. But that means you need a lot of investment to keep going, to pay expenses in order to reach that threshold, in order to create brand resonance in the city, and brand visibility, and people to get to know you, and maybe on the 3rd year make a profit. That needs investments. And so the thing is, I'm a risk taker. If I have $0, I'll go and do it. Nevertheless, I'll still do it. But you have to be resourceful. My mental blockage is, if that's your question, right? When do I get into a whole mental blockage, or
hit a wall? How do you get around it? Yeah, correct.
And well, for me is to you either get around it and you find the tools to get around it, or you don't. But the thing is, if you don't, it's not the end of the world. And for many, it is the end of the world. Or for many, oh my God, he's going to take me to small court. Oh my God, he's gonna sue me. Oh my God, people, what are people gonna think of me? Oh, they're not gonna like me more on social media. It doesn't matter, and you got to keep going. Now you have a beautiful history that can be part of your beautiful Wikipedia page. You started something, but I think entrepreneurs, to really start to really prevail, succeed, failures are amazing. They're beautiful for me. I feel a sense of relief when something comes to an end and it hasn't been rewarding. It's a sense of relief because no one can take away my ideas. No one can take away my visions. And as I work towards bringing investors on board, creating beautiful pitch decks, and it's the people also, they're the building blocks of a company. And you go on to the next thing. I mean, you gotta stay positive.
I was having supper with my wife and talking about the environment today. It was kind of getting me down, and then suddenly the penny dropped, and I said, "It's just another challenge." I mean,
exactly. Exactly.
It's kind of cool. I like challenges. So why am I bothered about it? It's actually, I haven't done this challenge, so this is a cool one, So all of a sudden, I started to get excited about it instead of getting depressed. Oh, I haven't done this one. This is good, And I think from that perspective, that's probably something to do with entrepreneurial sort of thing.
Philip, I think people are scared of the F word for generations. And Generation X hasn't done a great job in motivating and encouraging their children to take risks. And also remember that our previous generations, our parents, haven't taught us good things about money. They haven't taught us good things about accumulation of wealth. We often feel guilty for the accumulation of wealth. And it depends how you allocate wealth if you do have it. And so we're kind of self-destructive in a way where, we shouldn't be taking risk. We should be paying our bills, be good citizens, vote. But the thing is, that's not how you elevate in life. And I think it's a generational education and development. And I always like to disrupt. I'm just that type of personality. I always say, use your own critical thinking and leave CNN alone.
So, okay, you were talking about something your grandfather said, and this question I ask everyone because I love to hear the answers. It's totally selfish on my part. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received and keep on using?
There's so many because every advice is a key to a different door, and it depends. It's advices are. And advice is relevant, it depends on the situation. But one thing I think I resonate well with is Nike's slogan. And it's really a powerful human condition. Just do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just do it. And and you know what? You'll be just fine. You'll be just fine.
So just to conclude things, some rapid fire questions. Are you a morning or a night person?
I'm a night person. I brainstorm well in the night in silence, maybe with my glass of red wine. But yes, morning for me, I can wake up quite grumpy and be screaming at an accountant.
So what book are you currently reading or listening to?
Well, Philip, of course, my book. It came out 2 weeks ago. It's called Arabiosis. It's about fighting suppression. But I do love Outlier, The Outlier. It's quite disruptive. But one book which is consistent with my next thing that I'm doing, Egeez, is How to Build a $1 Billion App with George Burkowski, whom I met in London for dinner in England. and quite remarkable. And hopefully I'll be in, hopefully Egeez can become a case study in his next book.
If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, Nathen, what would it be and why?
Anomaly. No, anomaly. Nickelodeon called me that, Jeff Davis, and I guess it's working well. Globe and Mail, Toronto Star. But I think why is because I use my own critical thinking. My thinking process, or my paradigm of thinking, is not is not boxed by society or my employer or boss or partner or parent. I've escaped from all of it. It took me time, but I'm my own man, and I do what I believe in, and I do want to create something that society can use and that can solve an industry problem. I hope to create something. I think it's about time that we find in one of the top 100 WPP brand index score, one of the top 100 brands. Originally, I'm Arab, and it saddens me to death that not even one brand makes up the top 100 brands in the world. You see Indomie, the noodles from Indonesia, I think, and they're there. You see a Turkish cookie or chocolate brand, they're there. Emirates Airlines, they're there, but that's publicly funded. But Uber's there. You don't see Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Not one Arab was able to innovate.
That's a really good point. You're absolutely right. I think we still live in a very local world on the brand level, in a sense. Kind of interesting. And
I wanted it to come out of Toronto. I wanted to start in Toronto, in Canada. I mean, Toronto is becoming the next tech hub because of Donald Trump's immigration laws. A lot of software engineers are moving to Toronto, and I'm really excited about Toronto.
What's your most favorite place in the world?
Toronto. I love Toronto. It has everything.
But Toronto is your most favorite place?
You know what? I do want to end up in LA. I'm a California boy. My uncle is there in OC, and I love it there. And but my roots are in Laval, and it's where I go to try to stay humble. But yeah, you got to ride the waves of life, and sometimes it's so
unexpected. Give everyone this new thing. Just give everyone just a 1 minute pitch on it.
Egeez. Well, during the lockdown, I've realized that a lot of licensees like myself, I was a licensee of Viacom, CBS for Garfield. So I understood other licensees' pain with overstock. They had tons and tons of merchandise and overstock, including, big studios, like WWE, 20th Century Fox, some of them have tons of merch in the stock. And when you go on, you want to search for Mickey Mouse plush or a Mickey Mouse toaster or a Smurf bag. You don't go necessarily on Amazon. It's not the first thing that comes to mind. We'd like to be the first marketplace that comes to your mind. Egeez is the world's first licensing marketplace, where when you think of a cartoon, we have all the products for it. And so it's an app and a web, and we are empowering it with artificial intelligence, where you take this app and you put it near a movie of the Garfield movie in 2004 on Netflix, and it hears the cartoon's voice, and he creates all the products nearby you, and you simply order them. We have nothing to do with shipping and storage. The order simply goes to the licensee that we have onboarded, similar to Uber Eats. They onboard restaurants, and we do quite the same thing. We onboard you if you're a licensee, and I currently have a happiness account manager in every continent who are currently onboarding around the clock, and we are in talks with Sonic from Sega, Walt Disney, 20th Century Fox, the Smurfs, WWE, and many more.
Cool. Okay. Well, Nathen, it's fun. I like to keep going because I think we could chat for a long time.
Oh, I would never shut up, Philip. Worse than Ellen DeGeneres.
So we've hit, I kind of like to go run about 30, 35 minutes. That's sort of what people, is they want to listen. That tends to be there. But how can people find you online? I mean, because you've got lots of things that we didn't cover, and people get interested and they want to get in touch, kind of thing?
I think the best way to get in touch is obviously LinkedIn, but I always say the best way to get in touch is Instagram. I'm quite a heavy user of Instagram. I mean, if they shut my account, I don't know what I would do.
Okay, well, listen, Nathen, thank you so much for coming on Canada's podcast. It's been a lot of fun, and hope to meet again.
Thank you, Canada Podcast. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.